Jerry was here. I mean, huh? Yeah. Is that right? Well, hey, first off, obviously we're getting started today with our first practice. Looking forward to that, but I do have one announcement, and we could talk more through the specifics. Our PUP list here. We'll start with Mari Cooper, Chauncey Golston, Tristan Hill, Mitch Hyatt, and DeMarcus Lawrence and Greg Zerline will not practice, and also TJ Vassar. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you guys want to talk through that, let's.
What's the issue with Marcus?
DeMarcus had a postseason surgery. We're not of high concern. Same thing with Greg. There's just things that we're being smart. They both had some postseason work.
Mike, as far as working through, which of these guys do you anticipate being able to work into this camp? And are there a couple of guys in there who may not be able to work in?
I would think they'd all have a chance. Yeah, I don't see any of these as the long term. I think Tristan might be the furthest away, but he's ahead of schedule. Same with Mitch. So yeah, we're just like anything, and I think it's smart, just being smart to bring them back slowly. But I don't have any long term concerns of any really with any of the guys.
How will you address the kicking
Correct. Yeah,
situation?
DeMarcus is back surgery.
In regards to kicking, will you be bringing someone in, or will Nicewander take some?
Yeah, Nicewander will be handling all the kicking and punting. So this is a great opportunity for Hunter.
And Greg had a surgery as well, or is
Correct. Yeah.
Is there concern? You said there wasn't, but DeMarcus, this is his third back surgery that he's had over the past few years.
I think it was more of a cleanup. Yeah, there was not high concern. So he looks great. It's probably more us than him as far as the timeline of him coming back.
Like Jarwin didn't do much in the spring, what does it say that he's not on this list?
Well, I think it says a lot. I think also when you look at timing of injuries and I think it's such a benefit to have the resources, the facility, and where our players are here full time. I mean, you go through. We talked last night as a team. It's probably one of the bigger off-season rehab lists that I know I've been a part of, and all of our guys stayed here and stayed in Dallas for the rehab. So I think that speaks volumes, for our training staff, our strength and conditioning staff, and actually Britt Brown. We recognized him last night in the team meeting, and the reason why I'm telling you that because I know this is going to really piss him off that I put this out in the media. So, but he did an incredible job. The whole staff did, but. I think Britt's unique in his methods and his commitment. All of our guys did a great job. So, but it's just a timeline that we're just being smart with.
Mari, is he falling to that same? It's probably more you than him in terms of.
I think so. He has a history there. He looks great. He's in great shape. So, I mean, this is the time of year to be smart.
So no overall concerns about Amari. When did he have the surgery? Is this longer than expected?
I think it's we're not getting into specifics of everything. I think it's more for Amari to talk on. But yeah, I'm not concerned. I mean, I think it's he's played a lot of football. But when you see him, he's in great shape. He's in the best shape that I've since I've been working with him. So.
How big of a challenge is it for Golston? You mentioned you only get 12 practices for a rookie to start trying to earn snaps.
I mean, it's definitely a challenge, but he's got an injury that he's dealing with, and I don't really have a timeline for him. So, but all of our players, including our rookies, we had the rookie school where the rookies stayed an extra week. So I really feel good about what we're able to accomplish, this off season. We're spending as much time walking through things and so forth. Yeah, he'll be ready. I mean, he was in town through the whole break, from June to July, so he's got a lot invested. I think Chauncey will do fine.
Did Lawrence have his surgery right after the season, or was it something that came up in the spring that he needed surgery?
I think it was in the spring. Yeah.
Tristan,
I don't recall the exact date. Yeah. What's that? That's off season's the spring, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Rich. Great job. Let's give it up for Rich, huh? That was awesome. Way to participate. All right. Help me when I need you, okay? I'm sure it's coming. But
with Tristan, was any setbacks, or is just the progress?
Yeah, I think the timing of his injury and so forth. But yeah, he's, as far as the rehab schedule, I mean, he's right on schedule. I mean, he's been here the whole time also. So.
Mike, could you speak to your expectations this season for Zeke and what role you want him to play in your offense? I mean, he's coming off the worst season of his career, and there's probably a lot of reasons for that, between the quarterback getting hurt, the offensive line issues. But could you just give us a sense of what your expectations are for him?
I think the biggest thing for Zeke, and just like he's done since I know my first day here, is just be himself. You know, he'll take advantage of his opportunities. I know it's what his numbers are last year compared to the prior years. So, and you know, the standard that he has set for himself. But you know, he does so much more than just run the football for us. So you know, he's a magnet full of energy. It's his birthday today, so we're having fun with that. But you know, he's got so much natural leadership just in the way he goes about his business. So the production on the field is not a concern of mine. The production will be there with the opportunity. I mean, I think, you know, like a lot of things last year, I clearly understand what the numbers reflect, but also there was a lot of adversity that played into that. So you know, we have a clean start. Health is always a part of your success, and I think as long as we stay healthy, our success has a chance to be at a very high level.
You mentioned he attends the quarterback meetings. What's the purpose of that, and how unusual is that in your experience?
I just think it tells you his love of football. I mean, just to be in tune with the checks, because you go to the quarterback meetings are, particularly this time of year. I mean, we're really not in there discussing plays, because these guys put so much time in during the off season or the spring, whatever way you look at it. But it's more about checks and alerts and communication. You spend so much time on cadence because this is the time of year you're able to be together, for 11, 12 hours a day in a workflow. So the cadence and the at the line, that's where this time of year is so important. So to be part of those conversations in the quarterback room, it's obviously beneficial. I mean, just watch a practice. You'll see after plays, you'll see Dak talking to Zach Martin and the quarterback. Because those are when we talk about the details and the little things that go into this and why you need training camp. That's a big part of it. I know it is for me in the way I've always operated on as far as the offensive approach. So, and the ability to play fast, anticipate, to see things at the line of scrimmage. When your interior offensive line and your running backs are on the same page from a communication standpoint, as far as the anticipation of what's going on, obviously makes you a much better offense.
What would be the difference between these 4 practices and when the pads go on in terms of objective and pace?
Well, personally, I mean, the only thing different for these 4 practices is I can't get fined for working hard. So, because we don't have pads on. But no, it's we want to get the tempo. I mean, we want to get the playing fast, being sharp. I think the cadence operation. The offense stressing the defense anticipating what's coming. Being situation specific. It's time to get into real football. Now you don't really get to that point until you put the pads on. But time clocks, tempo. The mechanics. The timing, the flow, just as simple as the mock game, the sideline operation, getting in and out of the game, personnel, substitutions, those are all things that, just like anything in life, you need repetition. And these first 4 practices will give us that.
Some of the targets you'd like to see Dak hit in his first week back in practice?
Oh, I just want to see him get through every practice and, hopefully just knock the rust off, get through the pain-free moments. And I think that everybody goes through when you're coming back of a big injury, a joint injury, and I do think he's past that, but he has to go through this just like everybody else. I mean, he looks great. He was just out here in the talk through, and he's got a lot of bounce in him. So, but it's camps. You need camp. We all need camp. So, but just to get the full practices under his belt, and I think Dak will be fine.
Zeke's fumbles last year that he had, was there any common theme as you guys reviewed it and saw things that he could do to prevent those this year?
Definitely. I think anytime you have a turnover or giveaway on the offense, and no different on the other side of it. I think today's NFL, taking a football away, I mean, it's always been an art, but I think it's definitely a skill that has definitely improved in our game. And I think just the way you teach tackling, and so many teams are doing a much better job of it. You're seeing it done at the college level too. So But yeah, it's fundamental work that you can emphasize. We emphasize it every day. It's part of our team meeting every single day. But yeah, it's things that we can continue to work on.
Were there any things that he had last year, or was it just bad luck? Like he's reaching out and a ball hits a foot and he comes out. I mean, when you looked at it.
I mean, I don't believe in bad luck when you're taking care of the football. So I mean, you have to. So and the other part of that too is, the other 10 men on the field have the responsibility to cover it. That's why, going back to the earlier question about tempo, finish, the pursuit, and the cover, all those things, from the first time you're able to go full speed, whether you're in helmets or full pads, this is an opportunity to work on that, and that's definitely a skill set. It's part of your everyday operations, and some teams do it better than others, and that's why it's a primary focus for us. We need to be much better in that area than we were last year.
As an offense, you guys are well equipped to run 11 personnel, of course, but with Blake's return, what are the implications for what your offense can do out of 12 with Dalton's breakout last year and now Blake helping?
Well, I think you definitely have to utilize your players, and you definitely with Dalton, with his contribution last year, that has been recognized. 11, 12, 21, 22. I mean, you look at the primary personnel groups in normal down to distance, which is going to be our emphasis today. Normal down distance and second 8+. You have to have all those because unfortunately injuries happen. I had an instance in 2010 where we had Jermichael Finley the 2009 he came on and was such a great matchup for us, and we spent the whole offseason with every possible concept and formation that you could possibly do out of 21 personnel, and we lost Jermichael, I think, week 4. So we had to adjust and flow, and ironically that ended up being a great year, but it was a lesson learned in offensive installation and so forth. It's a long year. My point is, I understand what 11 looks like. I understand the fantasy football members out there want to, how that works. But we got to be able to play, 11, 12, 21, and 22 in normal D&D. And I'm not saying that's the way we're going, but you have to have that flexibility, and that's why we install by concept. Formation and personnel is second, because you got to be able to use all your players.
Along those lines, because Blake's injury happened so early in the season last year, were there plays in your guys' playbook that you just had to sideline when he got injured, certain route combinations?
Blake got injured?
Yeah, you couldn't do out of 12 or what have you, even 11, because he was no longer in the mix.
Well, I think last year 11 was clearly our best personnel group if you talk about how you wanted to play, but I think when the investment that we had, particularly first year as a staff, didn't have the off season to really work together in person. Then with the way the ramp up went with when we lost Blake, we obviously all those reps that we did have, we had tight ends that we didn't really know much about. So obviously the 3 wide receiver set was a primary focus for us. So, but that's not the case this year.
Building on that, Mike, considering what Pollard did in the spring, are you trying to have formations so that the other team doesn't know exactly what personnel group you're really in?
Well, your question really makes my point. It's the ability to play conceptually, to attack the defense schematically, and the ability to have Tony play the wide receiver position keeps you in that mode. Because at the end of the day, the offense is built around making the quarterback successful. That's what I believe in. That's the way we're set, and it starts with running the football, and the ability to have the action game come off of that, and then be favorable matchup and concept conscious in the passing game. Because when the quarterback can play through the passing game conceptually, he plays faster, he's truer, he's not learning new plays based on who's in the game. I think when you do that, in my experience, you slow them down a little bit. So. We want to make it as easy as possible for Dak and our quarterbacks to play conceptual football, because then that's where they're more efficient, and then all of our reps carry over, in our training.
We asked you about the pup list earlier, but you had so many injuries across the team last year, and the vast majority of them are able to start this camp full go. You mentioned Brett earlier. Can you talk a little bit more about that, just how encouraging that is, and what kind of tone that sets after what you dealt with last year?
Definitely. I think it points to the commitment and just the way our organization is structured and the way our players are wired. And, and that's new for me personally, where the season's over and you walk in the door and it's like the flow of the players coming in and out of the building hasn't changed a whole lot, and it's a credit to Jerry and the Jones family, the fact that these guys come there in the morning, they're able to get in there, they have full-scale breakfast, the meals are still available, and they're able to get the workout, get to rehab, spend their morning, and then grab lunch on the way out and just stay in the flow of their day. So I don't know if you could have a better rehab situation, for a professional athlete than what's been established in our organization. Now, I don't, we don't want to be known for having the greatest rehab process, but we have a heck of one when it happens. But we had a large number, and those guys were there the whole season, and I think that's what you're seeing. And based off the number on PUP, and it's it's a PUP list that there's not very high concern of any of these guys.
When you guys, with the Hall of Fame game, you guys start camp earlier than obviously almost every other team. That longer runway to week one, does that influence how you structured or scheduled your training camp practices, or maybe some of the workload, just to make sure guys are physically where you want to be so they're not too beaten down by the time week one comes around? Well,
with compliments to the the league office and the NFLPA, they kind of control the workload right now. So I said that total with sarcasm, but it's everybody practices the same. You're on limits. You're on time limits. So you just gotta have to be creative in your teaching. And we have a really good balance of veterans that this climate definitely benefits them, and it doesn't matter what the work schedule is or how many hours you can really work. You're always pushing the younger guys to catch the older guys. That's what this league's always been about. I think it gives us a chance to stay in concept teaching, things I've talked about already, and be able to teach at a much better pace. I'm very thankful that we're in the fourth game. I mean, I was obviously we didn't get to play in the Hall of Fame game last year. I'm personally looking forward to playing in it, and I think particularly with this team, this extra week is we will definitely benefit from it.
Mike, how does the 17
How different is a
game
work day now than what it was when you started in the NFL and training camp?
I mean, the only thing it's the same from 1993 to today is you get to wear a sweatshirt in the morning and at night because you're in Oxnard, California, as opposed to River Falls, Wisconsin. I mean, you can't even compare it. I mean, it's a different era. I mean, you practice in the morning, you practice in the afternoon, and you met at night, and then the coaching staff met after the staff meeting, so you didn't get a whole lot of sleep, and camp was longer. I think we went 15 days in a row with 2 days practice and pads, so it was a whole different climate.
Given the way it's set up now, can you talk about the importance of Dan Quinn's experience and how he can lean on that, trying to teach the new defense to the new?
I think it's excellent because Dan's been in the league a long time too, and and also I think his experience in college football definitely benefits, and because it's about we're teachers and the ability to teach and be creative, and I mean, Dan's meeting yesterday, he spent 10 minutes talking about note taking. So I mean, it's just when you have that level of experience, and if you see Joe Philbin put in the run game install, you can see their experience as teachers and the adaptation of the generation that we're coaching today as opposed to the guys we coached 25 years ago.
When we sat down with you when you first joined the Cowboys, you talked about before some of the off-season regulations, you really benefited by being able to sit down with Aaron Rodgers and go over film. How have you been able to navigate some of those new rules with Dak this offseason, knowing how it's important? You've even said it kind of feels like year one. So how do you reset and try to move forward? He's healthy. You've got a year behind your belt.
I think today's resources give you the opportunity to accomplish that. You can do so much more away from the office. You don't have to have a meeting all the time. That classroom, that quarterback classroom was so sacred. The quarterback school, how it started, because I mean, I was in the same format from 1993 to probably 2015, and that's changed. It's changed with the generation. It's changed with college football is a big part of it. Just the way that they've had to dive into the how they train their players. Because they have to. I think the college football coaches do an incredible job because they don't have the time to be with them, as far as the practice time and what they're able to get done schematically and teach their players in that climate it's impressive. So you're getting a different type of player today as far as what he's been exposed to, as opposed to 1993, in the earlier era in like 2006. So I think the ability for Kellen and Doug to communicate, and so it's constant. As far as what goes on virtually, and just the resources of how much film's available. I mean, you're watching the same film that we watch, because of what's available. And that wasn't the case, 15, 20 years ago.
The full workload ahead for Dak. How about the starting offensive line in particular, Tyron, Zach, and Lyle? What's the workload plan for them this camp?
I mean, once again, there's workload stress. I don't really feel is going to be a factor because of the way the practices are, the build up and so forth. So, I guess to answer your question, just to take all the reps of the ones, and because we have to get our ones ready to play, but we have a lot of competition going on, and that's something I'm sure we'll be talking a lot about, because this is a very competitive roster. So the development of our young players is always at the forefront of my thinking. It's the forefront of everything we do, from scheduling and so forth, and it's definitely heightened because of the competition that we have.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.